Hi everyone, well welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to build another solar lantern. This one's going to be in the shape of a diamond. We're going to use 4 of our solar lights in it, so we'll get a nice bright projection when we turn it on or when it comes on at night. So we're going to use 4 of our solar panels. These are the tops of the garden stakes that we've been using for all the other projects. They're basically purchased at any of the hardware stores online, and they have a solar panel here in the top which charges the battery, has a photo cell in here which turns them on when it gets dark, and when you get them they'll have this little white tab in here, or sometimes they'll have an on and off switch depending on what kind you buy. They're all different sizes. These are 2 and, like I say, are 2 3/8. That works out nice. I like the light in it. This has a nice bright white light. As you get to the warm colored lights, there'll be more of a yellow tint. So this is called a cool white. And if it goes really high into the cool white area, they actually look a little bit blue. So when you're buying solar lights, kind of check on them and look for the ones that say cool white, and you can kind of be assured that they're going to be the ones that you want. The warm white now, as I say, that goes into the yellow tint. If you're looking for kind of a yellow look, you might try those, but I prefer the white ones. So anyway, we're going to use 4 of these. So we need to determine how big are we going to make this. So we'll get these guys out of the way here, and we're going to go back to our drawing board for the answer to how big we're going to make it. So we'll get the T-squared out, and we'll get the our little triangle here. This is the one we've used for most all the projects. Crossed here, it's 30 degrees. You turn it up on its edge, it's 60. So we're going to set this diamond at 30 degrees, so we'll use that one. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to take our ruler and we're going to divide this sheet into halves. So it's 8.5 by 11, so it's going to be 5.5 by 4.25. So we'll take and draw this right here. And if my drafting teacher from high school is watching, I'm sorry, but he would kill me for just turning this way. But it works just fine for what I want to do. Okay, so now we've measured this, and we said that they're 2 3/8, which they are. So we need to split that in half. So it's going to be 1 3/16 here, and 2 3/8 over here. And we're going to do the same thing here. 1 3/16, 2 3/8, right there. And we're just going to draw some real light lines here. And all of these 4 are to show us where the placement of our lights are going to be, because it's going to be a diamond, which means it's going to be unequal as far as the sides go. So what we're going to do, we're going to take and we're going to set these lights. The lights are going to be set in here like this. We're going to set them in here like this. And as we put these right up against it, you can see they're going to be wider this way than they are this way. So what we're going to do, we're going to set this one right here. I'm going to push it right up against the center point in between our 2 lines. And we're going to take and we're just going to hold it here. We're going to draw a circle around it. Then we're going to come over here on the other side. We're going to do the same thing. And we'll just make them almost touch each other, a little, maybe a 1/16 of an inch wiggle room here. And this one here is going to come over here on this one, right here. Here again, just a little bit of wiggle room. And we'll pull this around here. Now, depending on the solar lights that you buy or you're going to be using, they may be different sizes and diameters, so you'll have to draw one up yourself to figure out how big to make these panels. We're going to just need 4 panels on this one. So that's the placement of our solar lights here right now. So now what we're going to do, we're going to put our T-square back in here. We're going to take our triangle, which is going to be on the 30 degree angle, I'm sorry. And we're going to bring it right in here, and we're going to bring it up here within about 1/8 of an inch of our solar panels right here, and we're just going to draw a line up. And we're going to come over here, going to line up on it, make sure it's down good. Draw a line on it. Then we can just, want to finish this off, we can just, so you can see where it's all going to go. We'll just come up here to the top here, come right up to this one right here, come down to it, and just line up right here on the points. Okay, so that creates our diamond shape. So our 4 lights will fit in here. Then what we're going to do, we've been putting the hangers down here on these corners, but because this is unequal, it's going to be difficult to cut a chain that's going to be equal here and plus here. So what we're going to do, we're going to come down here and we're going to put our hangers in the middle of this, and so this will be something new rather than put them in the corner. So what we need to do, we need to find the center of this, and it says it's going to be 5 1/2 inches long. So half of 5 1/2 is going to be 2 1/2 1/4. So it's going to be 2 3/4. So it's right here. So we can go over here and do that same thing, 2 3/4 right here. So we're going to put our hangers, we're going to put 4 of them, 1 on each one of these panels. 1 there, 1 there, 1 here, and 1 here. So we'll have a hanger here, a hanger here, a hanger here, and 1 here. That way they'll be all equal spacing. And we're going to show you how we do that. If you watch my other video on just how to put the hangers on, you'll see how we've done it in the middle of the project. But we'll go over it again so we can show you on this one. And we had a lot of nice comments on the octagon solar lantern, the one that's all blue with the purples and the turquoise and so forth. So I think we're going to make this one the same way. The panels on this one, I think we're going to make just like we did on the last the video that had the 120 twinkle lights in it. And if you remember that one, the panels look like this. Going to come down here. They're going to have a header in here. In this case, the header will be here. We're going to split it right here. We're going to put a hanger right here on it. We're going to run down a strip here of some kind of clear, maybe with just a little tint of blue on it. And then what we're going to do, we're going to divide this equally into 4 sections, just like we did before. And we're going to run them all the way down to the bottom. And we're going to come back in here and we're going to fill them all in at random. We're going to do them just like we did on that other one. And we'll drop in some little clear pieces just like we did before too. So this will be a pretty simple one to go. And when we put it together, it'll go together on 2 different jigs. Here it'll go together on a 30-degree angle for these 2, so we'll solder those 2 together. And then we'll come up here, we'll put these 2 together, solder them together. Then we'll put it on a 60-degree jig, and we'll solder these all together. So it'll be kind of a fun project to do. So anyway, I'm going to go offline, and we're going to build us a form so we can build these. And so remember, from here to here, it's going to be 5 1/2 inches. That'll be from here to here, and we're going to need a total of 4 panels. So we'll be back in a minute, and we'll get ready to build the form for this so we can make them all exactly 5 1/2 inches. And I think as far as the length goes on it, maybe we'll make this one maybe about 8 inches tall. So we'll be back, and we'll get ready to put this baby together. Okay, I'm back real quick. I want to jump in here and make one quick change to our plan here. Originally, I said we're going to divide this into 4 equal parts. Well, after looking at this, I decided we're going to change it. And what I'm going to do, so we're going to come up here like this. We got our header across here. So I'm going to run a down piece here, a down piece here, and then I'm going to run that same down piece right through the middle here. And I'm going to divide this into thirds. So I just wanted to explain that to you because these pieces, if we did it just in force, these pieces are going to be pretty wide. I don't think we'd get a very nice effect. So this is what it's going to really look like. We're going to have 3 down pieces that are about 3/8 of an inch wide, and then we're going to have 3 coming this way, dividing that up. And so that should give us a little better look to our project. So I just wanted to straighten that up. So as we start to build this, you're going to say, well, what happened to the 4 pieces that he talked about originally? So this is what the new one's going to look like. And I just kind of wanted to clear that up. So we'll get ready to go ahead and start to build this. All right, we're back. We're going to go ahead and make our form so we can get ready to make this solar lantern. I got all my pieces laid out here, and you can see I've got my 2 down pieces of my form. We've talked about this before. This is made out of 3/4 inch pine. I just set up the gate on my table saw and just run this through at about 1/4 inch wide. If you don't have a table saw, you can use a small trim piece from the hardware store, and that works just fine. But you do want to make a form for this, because if the sides aren't all equal, you'll have problems when you go to put it together. And sometimes people want to free build these, and if one of them comes out 1/8 of an inch or longer than the other one, when you put them together, you get this real odd looking project. So we don't want to do that. Now, we talked about the hanger. We said that we're going to put it not in the corner, but we're going to put it in the middle. So what I've done here, this is our header piece. This is the one we're going to build on. You notice I've knocked a notch out of here. This will be where our hanger goes in here. And we're going to show you how to do that. So the first thing we're going to do to build this form is we're going to set the hanger right here. And we're going to use our little wire brads here again. And we're just going to go ahead and we'll put this in here. And we'll just tack this down up tight against our square. I'm using the carpenter square that we've used in the other projects. You can use any kind of a square that you have around. We'll put one more right here in the middle here. Whoops. Maybe. There we go. Okay, so now we're going to put our down pieces down here. So I'm just going to pull this square out here just a little bit. And I'm going to bring our piece down here. I'm going to bring it right up against this. And then we're going to set our brad in here. You saw a great job I did putting that nail in here. Maybe it's a good idea that I've used these over and over and I've got some holes in them, so I don't have to try that again. All right. There we go. Since I had to make this piece of header board with the notch in it, I made it exactly 5.5 to start with. So all we need to do is turn this around, set it in here, push it down. We want it to push down tight. This piece here is going to go right in here, and we're going to slide it right up against it. And this should measure 5.5 inches, and it does, so that's perfect. So we'll go ahead and push this down nice and tight. Set our brad in here. Tack that down. And we'll put one more right up here at the top here. Like we've done before, 5.5 here, come up here, it's 5.5 also. So that's good. That means we've got it nice and straight. That way when we go to build the project, it won't have a strange look to it. So we're done with our square now. We'll go ahead and take that out. And when we come back, we'll get ready to put some glass in here. And what I'm going to do, because all these panels are going to be the same, there's going to be just 4 of them. I'm going to cut all the U-came here, and we'll cut some H-came to go in here to figure out exactly where we're going to put it. We're going to make a header across here. The header across here, unlike the other ones we always did the header as a solid piece, and we just ran a piece of crown across the top of it. What we're going to do with this, we're actually going to split this one, because I want the hanger's going to be right here. I want that hanger to have some support against this piece here, so that's where the weight's going to be carried. So I'll show you what we're going to do with that. So we'll go offline. We'll cut some lead up. We'll cut some header pieces here, and we'll cut some side glass, and then we'll get ready to show you how we're going to put this together. So we'll be back in a minute. All right, we're back. Well, as you can see, we've got a whole bunch of things over here. Over here, we've got all of our H-came. This is where all their down pieces that we're going to use. Since we're building 4 of these panels, and they're going to have 8 pieces of this, so we got 32 down pieces here. We've got our U-came. This is the one that makes the letter U. This is for the outside perimeter. We've got all of those cut to go around here. And we've got our headers over here. The headers here now are the ones that are going to go across the top here. So since we're going to put our hanger in the middle here, because this is an unequal diamond, we can't put it around the outside edges because it wouldn't line up properly. We're going to put it right in the middle here, and so I've made a notch here for our hanger to go into. We've got our header glass right here. I've got one split right here that we're going to use. This is the down piece of glass here. We're going to run these down the edges. We're going to put one right here in the middle, and we're going to put one over here. These are the little colored or clear iridescent that we're going to scatter all through this. And then I've got a whole bunch of glass here. And this is all in the blues, the purples, the turquoises. So we're going to scatter those all through here, similar to the one that we did before. So in order to put the hanger in here, I'm going to show you, this is a little trick right here. We're going to take our, just a little wood block here, and we're going to take all 4 of these, and we're going to just set them right here. And then I'm going to take my drill, just a little power drill. It's got a 3/32 drill in it. I'm going to line it right up on my tick mark here. I'm going to drill a hole through the came. So we'll do all 4 of these. Okay, from there, we'll just take these off of here, put them over here. Then we're going to bring in our drill vise here. This is this one right here. Let me get a little wood here so we can kind of balance this here. I'm going to put this right here. And then we're going to take one of our cotter pins over here. This is our 3/32 steel cotter pins. They're zinc plated. And they're going to go right in the top here. They're going to go right in the hole here, just like this. Okay, so they're going to sit in here like this. And we're going to take with the legs going side to side here. And we're going to set it right in here. And we're going to tighten up on the loop, the top of the loop. Tighten it up pretty good, because we're going to take these now and we're going to set our little brass tubing here, and we're going to pull this down just like this. And we're going to pull that down like that. And then we're going to take a small punch. You can use a screwdriver or anything that you have. We're going to set it right in here on the leg right here. We're going to push this down. We're just going to take and tap it down. Come over here on this other side, push it down. Then we're going to add a little bit of flux right here. I have a little eyedropper that we're just going to add some flux right here, right in the joint. And we're going to take our soldering iron, and we're going to take and put a little solder right here on the edge. And we're going to set it down here right in the bottom here, and we're just going to let it flow away. Just like that. Just like that. Okay, so we'll take the next one to do that. You could come down here and solder these down if you wanted to, but they don't need to. That's what their hanger is going to look like. So it gives you a nice hanger. It's kind of, you don't see any solder around it. We won't do any more soldering on it at all. So we'll put another one in here, show you how do we do it again. So it goes in like that. Tighten it up. This little brass tubing, by the way, has a 3/32 hole across the top. We've talked about this before. If you've looked at any of my other videos, you'll see that we did one video. The whole thing is all on putting this different type of hangers for different situations. So you'll see this being used. So here we'll go down here again, pull it down as far as it'll go down. If you don't use a punch or a screwdriver or something to tap this down here, see these are springy. See, they're up, and they'll give you a problem trying to get this to fit into your header glass. So always remember, you want to put it in here and just give it a little tap down. So we need to make 4 like this. Here again, we'll put our little flux in here. Take our iron. Bring it up here and just let it solder down here. There you go. And we'll go ahead and we'll do the other 2 too, so you get a really good idea how that's going to look there. So this is just a nice way to hide your hanger rather than, you know, solder on some kind of a split ring or something like that. This makes it kind of a hidden one, and it's certainly not going to come out of there, I'll tell you that. So we just pull it down again. Put your punch in here. Put a little flux on here. Take our iron, put it in here. Just let it flow away. And we'll do the 4th one. So we need 4 of these. So we'll do the last one and we'll have them all done. So this will take care of our hanger problem. And then when we go after that, we'll show you how we're going to put this together. So we'll hurry up and move this one along here a little bit. Okay, put a little flux on it here. And we'll take our soldering iron again. Solder it down. Okay, so we'll get this out of the way. Here's our hanger right here. All right, before we go on any further and start to show you how we're going to put this together, I want to show you an alternative to this hanger right here. This is the one that we soldered in, put it through and soldered it in. If you're not keen on that idea where you don't want to drill a hole and so forth, this is a real quick and easy way to do it. You take a couple of pieces of U-came here, cut a V slot in them. They will sit in here like this, just like that. They'll be split on the top with the V slot in it. And then you take your cotter pin, use your long nose pliers here, and you take and you spread this out 90 degrees, right like that. Turn it over, spread this out 90 degrees like that. Make sure it's flat. Just needs to come down just a little bit, like that. So then you insert your H, or your U-came here. You insert your hanger, and then you come back in here, and you put this one back in here. And then when you get ready to solder, you'll solder all the way around here, and when you turn it over, you'll solder in the gap here where we cut the V groove here. So that works good too if you don't want to have to drill the hole and so forth and do it that way. And your hanger will be sitting in there like that. So that's just a little bit of an alternative to doing this one. So it's whichever one. They both work well. The legs going back underneath here will keep this from being pulled out of there, and you're going to end up soldering it on the top instead of on the bottom like this one. So whatever one you like to do or give it a try, that's how that's going to work. Okay, so we're going to build this now. And so to build this, we're going to insert our header in here, just like that. And we're going to take a couple of our U-came down pieces. They're going to sit in here like this. I'm just going to pin them way back here on the end. And we're going to set one in here. And we're going to put it in here. Now, I took our header glass here and I split it. So as you can see here, I've split it and then I've ground this back. This area is ground back here. This is the area that's going to go in here. And the reason it's ground back here is so that it goes, the legs of the cotter pin, say for instance this one right here, can go in on top of this, like this, so that it keeps it straight. So this one here is going to go over here like this. Comes all the way down. I have a little down piece right here that I've cut. Needs to be just a little bit shorter than that one. They can just trim it off just a little bit. And this one here goes in here like this. Just like that. Okay. Then I have a piece of H-came right here. That's going to go in here like this. Come straight across. Going to just pull it in here and pin it. Like that. Then this is our down glass right here, so make sure the pretty side's up. It's going to sit in here like this. All the way back. Take your H-came here again, comes down the side. Push it in here. And we're going to pin it here in a couple pins. I'm going to come over here on this other side, we're going to do the same thing. Set it in here. Slide this down. And we'll pin it. Okay, so now we're going to go in here and we're going to fill this in. And what I've done, I've taken a lot of glass here and I pre-cut it to the right width. So we're going to have three going down here. We're going to have another one of these right here in the center, and then we're going to have 3 over here. So we'll just take one of our pieces. We're going to do these at random colors, random lengths. So we'll set this green one in here like this. And we got some little pieces that I've cut to go in here. We talked about putting in some little, these are iridescent. They're just little squares. I'm going to stick one right in here just for the heck of it. These are just going to be put in here at random. There's not any real rhyme or reason for them, and you can play with them as you go along, or you can just leave them out if you don't like that idea. Okay, so then we're going to have another down piece here, and let's put this blue one in here. And we won't put one behind that. We won't put a clear one in that one. Okay, then we're going to need another down piece. We don't want to put 2 blue ones together. Let's put this purple one in here. Here again, make sure you got the right side up. This is water glass, so this is the back side. The water glass has a little ripple to it. You want to try to put the nice side of the glass out, because it will always give you a better looking job than to have it turned around the wrong way. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and Put this one down here like this. Going to run our center piece down. It's going to come right down to the edge here. When you first get started, you kind of got a handful of stuff here, so keep pinning it as you move along. That one there got a little bent. We'll straighten it up a little bit. So I'm going to pull that down right here. I'm going to move this one over. Get this in here tight. So now we're going to come over here on this other side right here, and I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to come here, put a dark blue one here. Let's put one of our little pieces in here too. And like I said, we'll scatter these around in here. It gives you a nice little effect. So we're going to set that in there like that. Pull this one down. Stick this turquoise one in here. When you're doing this, try to keep your joints so that they don't have a bunch running together straight. Like this one here is going to be offset. That makes it look a little bit nicer. Besides, it's much easier to keep them all staggered than it is to try to keep them real straight. Because when you go to solder them, if you're trying to keep them straight and if you've got one that's not in the right or is not straight, it'll jump out at you. You'll see it really crook, and you'll go like, boy, I wish I would have staggered that, because it doesn't look very good. If you have one of these that wants to fall over, I just take my pin and push it up against the edge and push it in here. Okay, so this is going to be the truth in the pudding here. If we've done this right, this last piece here again, this one here does have a right side, wrong side. The right side is the one who has these little tiny lines going through it. And so that one's going to go in here like this. And theoretically, it should slide right straight down here, just like that. And that gets us our finished product there. We'll stick a piece in here. So we'll stick it right there. That one's just a little bit long again. You got to be sure that they're not climbing up on the inside of the H-came, because you won't see it until you get ready to solder it, and then it'll be up on inside there, so we don't do that. And we'll take one more of our little pieces here, and we'll run it down here just for the heck of it. Run it in here. Set one more of our H-came, a little small one here. Cut that. And there we go. Okay, so we got it all across here now. So I'm going to go off camera. I'll fill this all in all the way down to the end here where our pieces are at, where our end pieces are at. And we'll just mix this all up. And then when we come back, we'll put a piece of U-came across the back of it. We'll get it squared up, and we'll go ahead and solder it up, and we'll be through with one panel. So then we'll go ahead and make the other three, and we'll go from there. All of these panels are going to have a cleat on them right here. It'll be on the other side underneath here to hold our little plate for our solder lights, and they'll all have a tab on the bottom of them to hold a little tray so that we'll have a bottom in it, so we'll get a good reflection off of it. So we'll be back on the next video. This will be filled in, and I'll show you how we're going to solder it together. All right, we're back. So we got everything all filled in now. So what we're going to do now, we're going to put a piece of U-came across the back here. So this is it right here. We've got it already cut. So it's going to sit in right here like this. A little bit of our form wood we're going to put in here like this. We're going to take our hammer, and we just very gently tap it down here. And then we're going to take our little square again. We're going to run it along the edge here, and we'll be sure that it's square here. And it is, so we're just we'll pin it right here. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to solder this up. So if you watched some of my other videos, you'll notice I used a little stainless steel brush here. I'm just going to go over the joints here real quick. Just knock off any oxidation or fingerprints or oil that may be on my skin. Just go over each of them. It'll help the solder flow. And I'm using a liquid flux here. There's all kinds of flux on the market. This one here I like. It's a water soluble and it's odorless and it doesn't smoke at all. So that makes it nice to solder with, and the solder flows nice and smooth with it. Okay, so we got everybody fluxed down. I'm using a 60-40 solder, and this one I usually just cut it in like a 10 or 12 inch length, and I just like to lay it down close to my project, and I'll show you what I do with it. First, I'm going to take and tin my iron just a little bit, and then I'm going to put my iron right here in my solder, and I'm just going to take a little bit off the edge, just a little bit. And you don't need to stick around and dwell on it a long time. It'll take it right off. Here's our down piece between our headers. And we'll come out here to the edge, solder up our corners. And we'll solder up this guy right here. All right, so now we'll just go down, we'll finish these all off real quick. I take about 1/16 of an inch right off the end of my solder. That way I get a nice solder joint each time. And it makes the bead just about the same all the way. Now, when you have a lot of joints like we're going to have in this one here, you want to check them real good that you don't miss one. For some reason, it's pretty easy to miss one. That one there kind of sucked down in there, so I'm going to just give it just a little bit more. I like to keep them all as even as possible. That one sucked down a little bit too. There you go. All right. So moving right along here. Like I said before, soldering is one of those things where you just practice, 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 and you get a technique that you like, that works for you. If you watch some other YouTube videos, you'll see people soldering all kinds of different ways. And my theory is whatever works good for you, go for it. Finish this up out here on the outside edges. Go over it real quick here, make sure we got all our joints soldered. Looks like we've got them good. Got an old washcloth here. I'm going to just take and knock off some of the flux on it. So this is one of the panels for our diamond. We're going to need 4 of these, and we're just going to mix them all up color-wise. So when we turn this over now, so this is going to give you an idea what this is going to look like. So this ought to be real pretty. When we turn it over, like I said before in the other videos, this is important. We're not going to solder anything down the edges here, because when we get ready, if we have a little blob of solder, so our next panel is going to go in here on an angle coming back up like this. It'll push it out here, and we'll get a light gap between the 2 pieces that came, and we don't want to have that. So we'll keep that not soldered at all. Okay, so we're going to just go over this real quick. But we're not going to do the outside edges. All right. So now here at the top, right here in the middle, I'm not going to solder those right now because we're going to put a cleat across there. A cleat is just a little shelf, and that's going to hold our solder lights so that they don't fall into their project. So the cleat's probably going to run from like here to here. So we'll come over here and we'll just tin our iron just a little bit, and we'll just take and put it right here. We'll go to this one here. We'll go to this one here, here, but not on the outside ones, and not right here right now because I don't want to. I want to keep this nice and flat so that our cane will lay flat on that when I go to put it in there. So we'll go down here real quick and we'll solder this up. Get a twofer right there. So as we move down here, we just use the backside as a good place to practice. So I hope you've been following along some of my other videos. We're getting very nice responses on them, so I appreciate that. And so this one here ought to come out real nice, and hope you'll give this one a try. All right, and we'll come down here and we'll finish off the bottom here. All right, here we go. Now for our cleat in here, what we're going to do, we're just going to take just a piece of H-came, this one right here, and we're going to just take it and we're going to put it in here. This will be perfect right here. It doesn't need to be this long, but we'll just leave it this way. This was already cut this long. It's going to sit right here. Let me move this up here and see if we can get this where we can see it, show it. It's going to sit right here on top of this other H-came. It'll just create a little shelf right here. I'm using a pair of clamps. They're medical clamps. They lock in place. If you don't have something like that, if you've got an alligator clip from like you use for electronics, things like that, that works fine too. So I'm just going to pinch it in here like this, and that'll hold it. I'll take and flux it down, just like that. Then I'm going to hold it here. I'm going to just eyeball it in the middle here. Take my iron. If you look at the end of it, it's got just a little ball of solder on it. I'm going to end this in here, right here. I'm going to set this right in here and just let it flow out, just like that. Okay, take your clamp out. We can take and spot solder this. We don't need to solder the whole thing like we've done in some of the others because this is a long piece. Come back down here and we'll solder this back up here just a little bit. Okay, then we're going to take it, we're going to turn it around, and now we'll solder these up, and we're just going to put some solder on our iron, stick it in here and just let it flow off, just like that. There we go. Wipe this down a little bit. Now these corners right here, they're kind of sharp. So what I usually do is I take my dikes and I just come in here at a 45, and I take and I just cut these out of here. And that's our cleat right here. This is where our little plate will sit to hold our solder lights. Now down at the bottom here, if you've watched my other videos, you'll see what we're going to do down here. We've got a couple of choices. One, these legs here, we could cut them off straight and just leave them open. We could cut them off straight and try to fill in that hole. Or, and I'm going to do in my case, I'm going to take them and I'm going to come in here with my dikes. I'm just going to pull them, cut them on a point. Take it on the edge of my work table and push it shut. So that closes that up now. So I just have a little tiny bit of area to solder rather than try to solder that whole open area there. So we'll do this one here real quick. So there, we got them pushed over here. If you've got one that's sticking out a little bit like this, just take it on the edge of your work table and push it back in so that's even like that. Now, I want to solder these shut. I want to solder this little gap shut, and I want to solder this little gap shut. And then I'm going to put it on some 80 grit sandpaper, and I'm going to smooth these all down so that you don't see the joints at all. You could leave them like this, or go ahead and solder them. I'll show you what they're going to look like. But to solder them down, we need some way to hold this so it doesn't fall over. And we're going to go back and get our drill vise again. This is the one we use to make our hangers with. And we'll just pull this out here a little bit. And we're just going to set this in here. And we're going to tighten it up, but we're not going to tighten it up enough to break our glass, just enough to hold it straight. Take and kind of brush that. We're going to take and put a little bit of solder right there. I'm just going to close this up. Just get a little bit more right here. There. So now we could go ahead and leave that just like that. That doesn't look bad, and you'd be just fine to leave it that way. But we're going to go ahead and close it up. This one here is on a little bit of the angle. This is our 45, so I'm going to set this on a little bit of an angle. Here again, I'm going to clamp it in here. Hit it with my brush here a little bit. I don't know if that's really necessary for this little one. Put some flux on it. We'll flux this side down here while we're down here. And I'm just going to take this and I'm just going to hold it here real quick and just solder this shut right here. Just like that. We'll turn this panel over. This one's really more on the top, so we'll just leave it right like that. Put a little tick mark right there, and we'll solder that in. Okay, so when we come back, I'll have this all cleaned up, and then we're going to put the little plate on the bottom right here, and we'll have one of our panels done. So we'll be back in a minute after I get this cleaned up, and we'll take a look at it. Okay, so we're back. We got it all cleaned up. It came out really nice. So we're going to have some nice pretty colors on it. So this is one section of our diamond. They're going to be set up on an angle like this. There'll be another one here, and then there'll be one here, and one come back here to create our diamond. So the last thing we need to do to this, so we can see I cleaned up all the edges here so they're nice and smooth out. You don't have any gaping holes in it at all. So this will give us a nice finished product. So now we're going to set it right in here, and I'm going to take this little tab right here. This is made out of galvanized tin. You get it at the hardware store, and it's a quite thin material. It's galvanized, so I kind of scrape off the galvanized a little bit so it helps solder it. And this little tab's going to go right in the back here, and it's going to kind of just, I'm going to kind of eyeball it in the center right here. But before you solder it down, take your pen and take and mark it at the top of the U-came here, because remember the U-came is crowned, it's rounded over. If you solder it right there, this real sharp edge right here will be sticking down below the U-came, and we don't want that because somebody could get caught on it. So after you make your line here, pull this up about 1/8 of an inch. You just kind of eyeball that. And now since we have our hanger in the middle here, I'm going to use 2 little pieces on the end here to hold that in tight. And I'm going to take my flux here, flux it up, take my iron, clean the tip off of it, put a little solder on it, tin it up here, set it in here, Get a little bit more and just let it flow all the way along here. Just like that. So that'll suck right down onto there. And so that completes the panel. So we'll go offline. We're going to make us 3 more. They'll be exactly the same size. The glass will be scattered all different, so that'll be nice. So then when we put them all together, we should get a nice effect. So this will be where our shelf sits. We'll have one of these and one of these on every panel. So our lights will be held in here. So this one here will hold our light like this. And then we'll have a tab in here. We're going to put a piece of opaque white glass in the bottom. So we get bounce back from the lights. As they shoot straight down, they'll bounce back and it'll give us a good illumination all the way through here. So we'll be back on the next video. We'll have them all made up and we're going to show you how we're going to put them together. Okay, we're back. We got all of our panels done now, so we have all 4 of them here. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to put them together as pairs. And we'll do that with this little jig here, which is on the 60-degree angle. So we'll have one that sits in here like this. And one that'll sit in here like this. And we'll put them right down to the bottom here. We want them to make a nice tight V right down the middle here so we don't have any leakage coming through there. Just they can get them lined up nice and straight. If you want to, you can take your little brush here and we can brush down in here. This is pretty tight, so I wouldn't really think it's too necessary to get that in there. Push that down. Take your flux. Flux it in here. Make sure you're up tight here. Take your iron. We're just going to put a couple spot solders right here. Put one right here in the middle. And we'll put one right down here at the end. Like we've done with the other ones, we're going to come down here and we're going to fill this in solid. Just like that. Okay, so that's one set here. This is what we're looking for right here. We want a nice clean joint right here. We don't want any bleed through. So that's what we want right there. So that's our one set. So then we're going to take our other set here. I'm going to put them in here. When you do this, take some time to make sure that you've got them lined up equally. Like this one here, you can see this one here is down further. So pull it up till it's just right where you want it. It's not a speed contest, so take your time, make sure you got them lined up the way you want them. We'll take here now, we'll flux this down. Come back in here. Put us about 3 joints right here. One down at the end here. Then we'll come up and close this top off like we did before. Like I said in the other videos, you don't really have to do this if you don't want to. I just like to do it because that's the area that we're going to be seeing from the top. And some people may want to look in there and see what's going. So this is the 2 pointed areas now. Here again, no bleed through, so that's what we want. And now we're going to put these on another jig. So the other jig is going to be at 30 degrees. And it's going to be this dimension right here. And these will go together like this to make our diamond. And so I'll come back on the next video. I'll get that other little jig out and we'll get these set up on here. And then I'll get my lovely assistant to come out and we'll move the camera down and you can see how we're going to solder in between here. When we get these soldered between here, we're probably going to come in here and maybe between here and here and here and here, we'll run us a spacer across there to stiffen this up because these would be prone to be able to be squeezed together, so we don't want that to happen. So we'll put this on a 30-degree jig. It's going to look like this one right here. Looks like this one right here, so this will fit in here like that. and we'll lay it down flat, and we'll go ahead and we'll make it so. Well, I'll just show you real quick here. So this is going to go like this. This one's going to sit in here like this, and this one's going to sit in here like this. So then that's going to, then we'll just come inside here, and like I said, we'll get my wife to come out, and we'll move the camera down here so you can see what's going in here. This is why it's important that we build these on a form. See how nice these all came out? Look at this. This is almost perfectly lined up right where we want it, right there. And just by having them sit in there. So if you build these freehand and one of these is longer than the other, when you go to put them together, they're not going to fit real good, and you're going to have this crazy looking project. So take your time when you make your form. Make sure you make it the proper size, and then build inside it so that they're all exactly the same. All right, well, I got my wife out here to give me a hand here. So anyway, this is the area that we're going to solder right down here. This V area here. Because this one's so narrow across here, it's going to be a little hard to film, but I want to show you what we're going to do. So we're going to come in here, and we'll put our flux in here, and I'll come over in the backside and flux it up too. And remember, this is on our 30-degree jig here, and I'll just come through the backside with our soldering iron, and we'll solder it that way. So let me see if we can do this. So bring our soldering iron around, and we'll just take and we'll set it right here. And we'll just let it solder right there. Put a solder joint there. We'll come down here, we'll put one right here. And then I'm going to come over on their side, and we'll go all the way, we'll put one way down at the end here. Okay, and then we'll come back in. I wound off some solder so I can push it through here, and we'll fill this in like we did on the other two. Okay, that looks good. All right, so we'll let that cool just a teeny bit, and then what we're going to do, we're going to take this out, and we're going to rotate it around, and we'll set it up for this side now, and we'll push it in here. Make sure they're lined up nice where you want them. We want them to be nice and tight. Push them down there. That looks good. Up against our stops right here, so they all line up. We'll go ahead and we'll flux this up. We'll come in here, we'll bring our solder in here on this one here, and we'll just go ahead and solder it up. Come down here, we'll put one right in here. Oops, need a little bit more solder than that. There we go. And we'll put one way down at the end. Pull the solder off just a little bit longer, and we'll come back in here and we'll solder this in here. And we'll get one more little bit right there. Okay, so that's our project. So we'll pull it out here real quick. Take a look at it. So that's our diamond right here. So everything looks nice and tight, so that's perfect. We'll go ahead and put our little bracing in the top like we talked about. That'll be, we'll go in here and we'll bring our bracing down here to hold this so it can't get squished flat on us. I'll check the angle here to make sure they're parallel to each other. And then we'll come back and we'll put a bottom in it and put a top in it. We'll put our 4 solar lights in it, and we'll light it up, and then we'll be all done with the project. So you see we got our 4 hangers here now, so they're all in an equal spot, so it'll hang straight for us. All right, we'll be back on the next one. All right, we're back, and we got everything all taken care of. You notice I put in these braces in here, across there. This will strengthen it up so it won't want to collapse on us and change the shape of it. It's all been cleaned up now, so you can see that it's nice and shiny looking. It's very sturdy. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put a bottom in it, and I've already pre-cut a bottom. This is it right here, and I've marked it where our tabs are. So to put this in, move these solar lights out of the way. That's the 4 that we're going to put into it. We're going to take my silicone seal here, and we'll just take it. We're going to put a little bit of silicone seal on each of these little tab marks that I've marked here, and then we'll show you how to get this in here. It's a little tricky, so it's we'll have to work on it. If I can get the top off my glue, here we go. That always wants to get stuck on there. So we're just going to lay this down. We're just going to put a bead right across here. We'll do it on all 4 of these little tabs. And then we're going to take and we're going to set it inside here. And this gets a little bit tricky. So we're just going to set it up on the edge here, and we're going to set it inside here. And then we're going to turn it on its side, and we're going to pick this up. We're going to get this all over on the other side of our tabs. We're going to pick this up, and then we're just going to let it drop down in place. And there it goes, just like that. Then we're going to take a piece of our form wood here, and we're going to push it down up against our tabs. All the way around here. And I'm going to put a couple of pieces of wood underneath here. I don't want to glue it to my towel that I've got laid down here. So we'll take a couple of pieces of our form wood, and we'll just pick it up here, and we'll just set it on here like this. That way we don't glue it to the towel. I can reach down in here and move it around a little bit if I want to. All right, that's where I want it, right there. Okay, so now the tray that we're going to use to hold our solar lights is going to fit in here just like this. If you choose to, you can glue this down. I usually leave it open, so if I need to get inside here to clean that off, I can do that. And like we've done before, if we made it the right size, all 4 of these solar lights should fit in here. And they do for us. So that gives us our completed unit. All we're going to do now, we'll put a chain on it, and then we're going to take it into the laundry room like we've done all the other ones, and we'll trick the solar panels into thinking it's dark, and we'll show you what the finished product looks like. So we'll be back. We'll stick the chain on it real quick, and when we get back, we'll go ahead and fire it up and see how it looks. Light it up. Here's what it's going to look like. So as you can see, by putting the 4 solar lights in there, we had a lot of light, and the project came out really nice. This is the one where we used the straight lines down with the little chips of glass in it. So it was quite easy to make, even though it looks complicated. So hope you'll give it a try, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.